Alrighty, and this is the portion we're going to talk about the third important thing in direct sales, and that's recruiting. Don't you love that word, recruiting? Honestly, I don't like that word very much. It reminds me of the Army or something, but it's a word that we use in this business and continue to use behind the scenes. What I want you to think about it as is hiring. And here's the bottom line, guys. I know how everybody thinks because I'm so average, and I think the way that most people think. And when I first came into this business, I said I'm not going to have anything to do with that recruiting thing. I was so afraid, I don't want to say any names, but like companies where you feel like people are just after you all the time, you know, most multi-level marketing companies or something, which is different than what we do. And I thought, I don't want to be that person that at the family reunion, they see me coming and they go, run, you know. For some reason in my head, like probably a lot of you, I had recruiting as something that meant bugging people. And I'm going to tell you something, that's not what it is at all. It's hiring. And the fact of the matter is that if we want to grow our businesses, if we want to grow Park Lane as a company, thereby having job security for all of us, if we want to hit all of the corners of the earth with this wonderful thing, then we better be okay with hiring, because that's what helps something grow. It's just a basic business principle, is that we hire. And I'm going to tell you something that happened to me that changed my philosophy big time on recruiting. And it's like I was standing at this show, doing a show, obviously, and there was a lady like in the first row, and she was having a grand old time, and she stopped me, and she said, Mary Grace, she said, I am a bigwig with, she didn't say bigwig, I'm saying that, she goes, I am a company vice president, because they're all bigwigs, I am some kind of senior vice president of Southwestern Bell or some huge company in the St. Louis area. And she said, I would love to work with someone with your energy. If you come in tomorrow, let me give you my card. If you come in to the building tomorrow, I will hire you. In some capacity, I will hire you. Will you come in? And she handed me her card. Okay, now I'm doing this show, and there's like 14 people, just everything froze, and they're all looking at me. And right in that moment, how do you think I felt? Did I feel like she was bugging me? Did I feel like, no, I felt entirely flattered. And I had this little epiphany right then, because the biggest message in this, you guys, is that I didn't want the job, but I still talk about it. And I still talk about how flattered I was. And I thought, why is that any different than what we do? My job is to offer, and I love what I do. My job isn't to convince. My job isn't to get somebody. My job is to offer and give them the opportunity to say yes or no once they can make an educated decision. But I always like to say, if you find yourself trying to convince somebody, what's the first 3 letters of convince? Con. We're not trying to con anybody into anything. This is a wonderful opportunity. It's changed my life tremendously. Of course I want to share it with people. So don't be too attached to the answer. Be attached to what you have to give and the offering. And once you change your thinking about recruiting, that's a major step in the right direction. And they're not all going to say yes, but you might also put something in their head that they hadn't thought of. And the reason that I want to talk about hiring and recruiting is because it's not only is it very, very important in order to grow the company, but it's also very important in order to grow us. And the truth of the matter is that I do a lot of showings, and I don't, but I think the maximum maybe that I could do would be, I would say 3 to 4 a day, 30 days a month, okay? I've never done that, but that would be the maximum that I physically could do, I would think, okay? So, and then that would be that. That would be as much money as I could make, and that would be as much as I could physically do, and that would be my story for the rest of my life, and I would be 100% responsible for my income. But because I can hire, I'm allowed to work smarter, not harder. And I'm allowed to send other people out into the world to sell the product at the same time that I'm selling the product. And I deserve to get paid for that. Park Lane wants to pay me for that because they want me to help grow the company. And they want to help you grow the company, and they want to pay you for that too. Okay? And the longer that I'm in this, the more sense it makes to me. The fact that I'm sitting here doing these videos today instead of out doing a show is me taking advantage of the compensation plan. Because my hope is that if you're watching this, you are going to do a better job. Thereby, and I deserve to get paid for this time, and what smarter way to pay me than that the people that I hired, or the people that I hired, go out and do a better job as a result of this training, and then it's going to help my bottom line too. So it's really just a phenomenal program that all makes sense because you end up getting paid for your level of influence, okay? So now we're gonna talk about the money mountain. I call it the money mountain. And most people come into this business because they want to make money. You're going to find so many different perks in this business that you didn't even know were there when you first started. But most of us want to make money, okay? That's why we take any type of job normally, is we want to make money. All right, so when you come into Park Lane, you start as a fashion director. We call them FDs. And a fashion director starts at 30% compensation. And we get paid on the net, okay? Anything above the line. They really can't afford to pay us on the non, but below the line, because what's there left to pay us on with the $14 items? Now, I do want to tell you this, though. This is what the customer buying plan does for us. If you had a guess, what would you guess the average order is in Park Lane? I have people guess high all the time. The average order is about $100, because where is the best value? Thank goodness for that company, that customer buying plan, because it really generates sales, and it's such a benefit to us that the average order is $100, all right? When you start with Park Lane, you're gonna come in at 30% commission. So what I like to have people do is just picture that every time someone's handing them a $100 order, they're making $33. And I always have to ask, because I don't pay that much attention anymore, but minimum wage is somewhere around $7. So I'm like, just imagine 5 hours of work in a minimum wage job that someone has generally, on the average, handing you in one order. Is that not just breathtaking to you? I just think it's earth-shattering. I think it's amazing. Okay, so we come in at 30%. Once you sell $5,000 in your career, could take you a week, could take you a month, it could take you a year. Once you hit $5,000, Park Lane's going to give you a raise. You're going to go to 32%. And really, where in this day and age do you hear about people getting 2% raises? Not that often. That's like the high scale. That's like the person who did the best in the company might get a 2% raise, okay? But there's a faster way. And 98% of the people in my group do this because I believe in this. I believe in leadership. I believe in working harder, smarter, not harder. And I believe in pay now, play later. I believe in capitalizing on our profit program. And that is if you bring in one person. You recruit one person into the business and you're going to get a raise. You're going to go to 35%. So you're going to get a 5% raise. I have so many people do this in their very first month. And I always say to people, I'm like, girls don't even like to go to the bathroom by themselves. They'll start a business with somebody, and they will believe you before they'll believe me. I can say something like, my paycheck last week was $11,000, and they'll just like go, oh, good for you, and they'll keep talking. But you can say, oh my gosh, I just made $250 at my very first showing, and they'll say, you're kidding me. Tell me more about this. So, you're no fool and you want to do it. They're going to believe you before they believe me because they know you better. And the other thing I think you need to know is I think I mistakenly believed when I first started this type of business that I didn't dare recruit or hire anybody until I knew exactly what I was doing. No, please don't make that mistake. You don't have to know exactly what you're doing. You get your recruits to us and we will treat them just like we would treat you, okay? They're on our team. Again, we get paid for our level of influence, so we're gonna train them, we're gonna take care of them, we're gonna treat them just the way that we treated you, okay? So when you bring one person into the business, you're gonna go to 35% on your own self. And then there's some other things that have to happen that very month. Very, very simple. We work with you, we make sure it happens, no worries. 5% raise. What do you think that's gonna do for your business too? What's that gonna do for your naysayers? When you say, hey, in the business 2 months, already got a raise, already got a promotion. And the thing with Park Lane too is you never go backwards. Once you achieve a level in Park Lane, you never go backwards. So once you become this branch manager, 30 years from now, you could bring in one person this month. She could do a couple shows. 30 years from now, you would still be making 35% on your own shows, even if she's nowhere near the company anymore, because we never take your title away. It's pretty cool. Now, quite honestly, the 5%, the branch, it's all about the 5% raise. It's all about the raise on yourself. Being paid on your team members can be a little sporadic. It's kind of a weekly kind of thing. You'll start to notice it as you go through the next level, but really, all in all, this is for the raise on yourself and just for the joy of sharing the business with somebody else. I'm not going to take you all the way up the money mountain, but I actually was so cocky as to cross out this next level because there's a way to double promote, and that's what we do. We double promote everybody. And the next level is area. And this is as far as I'm going to take you, but I do want to talk to you about area because this is huge. You're sitting there, I don't know what you're sitting there doing, but you might be thinking in your head, I only want to do one show a month. Why is she talking about all this? I'll tell you why I am. Because part of my job is to get you to dream. Part of my job is to make sure that you know the big picture. And I want to make sure you know it earlier than I did because it'll absolutely revolutionize your world. And I want to see you go as far as you can, as fast as you can, especially since you never go backwards. All right? So we are going to talk about area. An area manager is when you bring in just 5 more people. 5 more people onto your team. Not personally, onto your team. And here's what happens. You go to 40 to 50% on your own shows. So now you're at the 40% automatic mark on your own shows. Get a 10% raise. And now you have an opportunity to get a 10% bonus at the end of the month based on what your team does. That's on your own self. But bigger than that is the fact, if you come down here, hopefully you have this sheet out from your intro kit. If you go down here, under weekly overrides, it says FDs, 10%. This is when you begin to really get paid on your team every single week. And you make 10% on your fashion directors. 10%. So I want you to do a little picture. You're going to have to use your own head because normally I have visuals here for an ITC. I would have people do this because really what it all comes down to is branch. All right, so here's the deal, okay? You decide that you want to be a branch. And I go, of course you do, all right? Now imagine I'm the original person. I bring you in. You made me a branch. Thank you very much. We're done with that. But now you want to be a branch. So you bring in a person. That person that you're bringing in counts towards my next 5 because you're part of my team. Well, what if the person you brought in wants to be a branch? There's another one for my team because I was the original. So everybody's winning here. Now, 2 of them have to come from yourself, so I bring in 2 more. Well, this person hasn't become a branch yet, and this person wants to be a branch, and this person wants to be a branch. Honestly, what happens is by the time you get to area, you generally are promoting out with like 8 or 9 people on your team because it really all comes down to everyone wanting to be a branch. So it's not an effort that you have to do all by yourself. Area is very quick and easy to get to once you set your mind to it because it's a team goal. And here's what I want you to picture now. Remember, these are all people, okay? These are all people in my team now. Now imagine the ones that are fashion directors. Every single time one of them goes out and does, $500 is like an average, probably below average show in our group. Every single time one of these girls that's on your team now, or guys, goes out and does a $500 show, $50 is popping into your paycheck. $50. Now imagine that 3 times. Imagine it 8 times. Imagine it hundreds or thousands of times. That's how you hear about people like me that have paychecks sometimes that are $11,000 for 1 week. And it's because I decided to hire, help Park Lane grow as a company, and grow my influence in my business. So you definitely want to build recruiting into your business early on. And that concludes the recruiting portion of our training.